I want to make sure Karina got back, so I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes for Karina to get back. Okay, she's back. All right, awesome. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to see everybody here for our very first UNM Lobo Women in Technology Chapter public event. So we're doing a panelist discussion this morning. We have some fantastic ladies here to tell you about their journey in technology and answer some questions. So we're going to just go ahead and kick off. Kirsten, if you want to go to the next slide, it's a little bit about our agenda. We'll do some welcome and intros. We'll definitely go through the Women in Technology group, what we have to offer if folks want to join. And then we'll do some panelist introductions, a Q&A. So go ahead and go to the next one, Kirsten. So really exciting for us today, we have Karina Branson here with us from ConverSketch. She is going to be doing, she's a doodle artist and is going to be kind of drawing up what we're doing today. I don't know, Karina, do you want to mention anything about what you do?
Sure, thanks so much for the opportunity. Let me turn my camera around. So I'll be listening to what you're sharing and in real time visualizing it with my hands via an iPad. So I'll be screen sharing here in my video feed. If you're interested in seeing that larger, make sure to have side-by-side gallery view, and then you can pin my video by just clicking on my video feed. And when you're done, click my video feed again, and it will unpin and you can go back to gallery view. And we'll be sharing at the end. So I'm looking forward to listening and supporting women in tech.
Thank you, Karina. Okay, so as many of us know already today, even though we've made some pretty huge strides, women continue to be underrepresented in the technology field. And interestingly enough, throughout all of STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics across the board. So it's very near and dear to us. We wanted to start this chapter of women supporting women, but the whole community supporting women in technology. And you can see some of the statistics here. These are things that I'm sure some of you have seen in the past. 1 in 4 jobs are held by women in the IT industry. And interestingly enough, when you look at even the women that are in technology, you do see also a gap in minority women in technology as well. So there's just a lot of opportunity and ground for us to cover as we continue to help to motivate and inspire young women coming up in this industry. And so we're excited to come together to do this. Our mission is to empower the creative, innovative, and hardworking women at the University of New Mexico. But in doing so, we also want to build networking and collaborations with our community partners and other higher education institutions in the state. So we'll go to the next one. So we are an organization created by women in technology to support the empowerment of women in technology and to help create and support initiatives and community partnerships. We're really hoping that we can start to create different avenues for mentorships, that community involvement, networking and building with businesses in the state of New Mexico, and again, other higher education institutions, and to really start this dialogue amongst people, right? Professional people, about how we can all help each other grow within technology. So this is a slide of our WIT founders. There are 6 of us that came together to build this chapter and hopefully lay a foundation that we can then share with others to be on the board, and also get many folks to be members as part of this organization. So we have Desiree Aguilar on here. She's a programmer analyst 3. Grace Faustino, she's one of our IT liaisons for research. We have Sridevi Kumaravelu, she's an IT officer. Kirsten Martinez, she's our fiscal operations director. And you'll actually be hearing from Desiree and Kirsten with the panel interviews moving forward. They're gonna go ahead and present to the panelists. My name's Alesia Torres. I'm the director of IT enterprise applications at UNM. And we also have Jennie Wong. She's one of our other IT officers in the business area. So these fantastic women, we all came together. It's been a journey and it's been fun, but it's also been a tough one for us to kind of get everything together and get us moving forward. So next slide, Kirsten.
Okay.
I think, okay, so actually I'll turn it over to Kirsten so she could talk a little bit about what we're going to do and how the panel interview is going to go. Sorry about that, Kirsten.
Oh, no, that's okay. So we're going to start with our introduction of our panelists right now. As Alesia mentioned, we have an amazing panel of 4 women here today to share their backgrounds and experiences in information technology. So before we get started, we'll take this opportunity for each of them to introduce themselves, if that's okay. So with that, Paige, do you want to start and do a brief introduction?
Yeah, thank you all for bringing me on today. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So my name is Paige Briggs, and I'm a director of customer engagement with a company called Tanium. We're headquartered in Seattle, and we are this unique platform for cybersecurity that does everything from security, risk, compliance, IT operations. It's a pretty phenomenal firm, and I've been with this company for 2 years. So as it describes in my bio about my previous history, I did work at UNM for about 5 years. I've worked at Sandia Labs as a programmer analyst, but I've always been located in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and still while working at Tanium, I'm in Albuquerque. So thank you for bringing me on the panel today.
Thank you. Okay, Dawn Harrington.
Good morning. My name is Dawn Harrington. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the hospitals. And what the hospitals are the 3 main entities, what we call the health system. So that's University Hospital, Sandoval Regional Medical Center, as well as UNM Medical Group. So I am one of the rare live long and prosper kind of people here. So I'm born and raised in New Mexico. I started at UNM in school, got my degree in finance, actually started as a clerk for the university hospital. And again, I've worked here for over 30 years, and it's a great place to work. I think a lot of people are not exactly sure how much IT lives on the health system side. So I'm excited for us to have some discussion about that. And again, also very excited to be here and talk today. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Leslie Andrews.
Hi, my name is Leslie Andrews. I am a lead data architect with 3 Cloud Solutions. We are the largest Azure-only consulting agency in the country. We're a Microsoft partner. I graduated from the University of New Mexico from the Anderson School of Management with my IT degree a long time ago, and have worked for many years in the public sector here. I was with the city for several years and for the state for a long time working at the courthouse. I am a speaker at SQL Saturdays and other conferences around the country on database topics, and I'm really excited to be here today.
Thank you. Okay, and we have Pamela Jeffries.
You're on mute, Pamela.
I think you're on mute.
Now, how many times has everybody done this? I mean, it's just anyway.
And we all had that on our bingo cards. Bingo.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to participate on this panel, Alesia. I appreciate that very much. I am the IT Director for Enterprise Application Services at New Mexico State University. And I have, currently I have 2 teams under me, the product development team and then the Enterprise Information Services team, which supports everything Banner and all of the vendor products that we support across NMSU. I started off, I grew up in New Mexico, was born and raised in northern New Mexico in a small town called Chamizal, Penasco area near Taos. Went to school at McCurdy High School in Espanola. And then I moved to Las Cruces to attend NMSU, got my degree there in business computer systems, and got my first job, landed my first job in California, Southern California, Redondo Beach, California, with TRW Incorporated. Was there for about 8 years, had my first child, went through a couple of earthquakes, got married, all of that, not necessarily in that order,
but but anyway, then I moved back to New Mexico, and I've been with New Mexico State University ever since we moved back, and that's been over 25 years. So I've gained a lot of experience in my journey through my career, through my both my work and life experiences, and I'm happy to say it's been a really great journey, and grateful for the opportunities. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much for all of those introductions. So before we get into it, I want to give a brief overview of the structure for the rest of the panel discussion this morning. We have a short period of time. We have about 45 minutes, so we're going to break it down as follows. We have compiled a list of questions ahead of time, 4 of them, which we will ask to 2 of the panelists at a time. They'll each have about 2 to 3 minutes for a response and to share their experiences. And then once we get through those questions, we will open it up to the audience for open questions and answers and conversation. So if you think of any questions during the panel, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll be monitoring them. We'll try to get them if time allows. And then if there are no questions from the audience, we do have a handful of additional questions that we can ask as well to optimize our time here this morning. So with that, we'll get right into it with our first questions. Desiree, I will hand it over to you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kirsten. So if you can go to the next slide. Awesome. So here we have question 1. Question 1 is for Paige and Leslie. We'll go ahead and start with Paige. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got started in technology, and what experiences led you to technology as a career.
Okay, so right after I completed my business bachelor's degree at New Mexico State University, I was working at the Department of Health in Santa Fe. We were doing this IT project trying to identify data flows from floppy disks as we built a new Medicare payment processing system. And that's where I became immersed in IT and the meaning of IT. From there, I attended UNM to complete my MBA, and I decided to go the route of a concentration in MIS. So while I was working on my MBA, I did get a job at Sandia Labs as a computer programmer analyst working on the Oracle systems for the nuclear weapons complex. And that pathway is what led me to love IT, and I've been doing this since '96. So what experiences that led me into my career? It was just opportunity. I had the opportunity to learn and go to school. I loved the program at UNM. I did the traditional MBA program, and I was exposed to every different facet of IT applications, programming, strategic planning, project management. So throughout my career, I've worked in all different being a hands-on keyboard operator all the way up to leading and directing teams. As I described in my bio, I did work at Rural Sourcing Inc. as the Development Center Director here in Albuquerque, where I built the team when I started, we were at 20 and I built it up to 120. So for me, the experience has been to work with people and to be exposed to IT. I think Albuquerque is an incredible hub for giving women that opportunity.
Awesome, thank you. That almost sounds a little bit like me. I went to Anderson too and got my MBA and concentrated in MIS as well. So that was awesome. Leslie, same question for you. Tell us about your journey and how you got started in technology, and what experiences led you to technology as a career. I think you're on mute.
Yes, I figured that out real quick. So I've always been kind of technically inclined throughout high school and some of the first jobs that I had. I worked for an insurance company that used Lotus 123 back when I was in high school in the early 80s, which really dates how long I've been working with computers. I did some data entry jobs and kind of just fell into doing those types of things. After high school, I wasn't ready for college. I had some behavioral issues when I was growing up, and I had to work through those. But a couple of years after I'd finished high school, my sister had gone off to Texas A&M she's like, oh, you should check out this really cool new program they have called MIS. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'm too busy partying. And so then in 1996, I was working for a local company, ZoneWorks, and we brought in a new controller, new CTO type person, CIO, finance. And he was going around talking with everybody and finding out about this team. And he asked me, he said, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I was like, I really like computers. I like, doing stuff with Excel and trying to figure out how to make processes better so that, we work more efficiently. And he was like, oh, MIS. I was like, okay, if this dude that's known me for like 2 weeks can tell me the same thing my sister told me years ago, maybe this is something that I should look into. So I looked at UNM's programs, and they had an MIS degree. So I decided that I was going to enroll. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I'm going back to school. I'm going to get my MIS degree. And she's like, oh, what does your husband think? I was like, I'm going to tell him I want a divorce. So I left my husband. I had a 3- and 4-year-old. I went back to school. I got my degree, and since then have had opportunities with the city and the state to learn and network and grow. And that's kind of how I got to having this be my career. And I feel like I've done pretty well. It turned out well for me.
Hey, Desiree. I'm finding it interesting as we're going through this. I mean, some common themes between both Paige and Leslie, they had mentorship opportunities, they had opportunities in general, education, persevering through different barriers and hardships. So it's just really interesting to see that even though they took some different paths, they had some very common themes.
Yep.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
All right, we will move on to question 2. And this question will be for Dawn and Pamela. What is the best advice you have ever been given? And what advice do you have for women who are interested in the technology field? Dawn, do you want to go first?
Of course. So that's a great question. And I have to be honest, I kind of go back to advice that I got from my dad growing up. So we ended up here because my dad ended up at Sandia National Labs. So I kind of grew up around technology and things like that. And my family are all engineers. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to be an engineer. I'm going to be a stockbroker. So I got my degree in finance. And the great advice that I got from my dad was just nothing is ever out of reach for you. So if it's something that you're interested in, just go get it. Go figure out how to do it. Find the people there to support you and help you in that journey. And so he has always been that backbone for me. And it was when I was like in the 90s going, finance is not for me. I hate this. I can't look at ledgers anymore. He was like, fine, go find something else that you like to do. And that happened to be IT. So as it relates to other women that are interested in the technology field, it's the same thing. I have conversations with them. I'll do mentoring through the university also, and really sit down and talk to people, find out what they're really interested in. IT is very big, and I don't know that a lot of young people really understand all the different fields and facets to technology. And there's so many different places that you can plug into. So again, I work with them, try to find out where they might be interested and really help find the path that they can find success.
Great, thank you. Pam, same question.
Yeah, very similar to Dawn. I would say woman who are interested in technology is to start early in middle school or high school and really not be intimidated. I feel like, women do not have the same opportunities as men, and really take advantage of the increased opportunities afforded to emails, like the STEM programs that are offered at universities. Do that while you're still, in middle school, high school. Also find a good role model in your life journey. I know for me, I was fortunate because I had a lot of good role models. My dad was a civil engineer, so I kind of grew up with him, and went to work with him. He had his own engineering business, so I had the opportunity to hang out in his office, work on the computer, and I just seen him. So when I went to school at NMSU to get my degree, I started off in engineering, thought I wanted to be an engineer like my dad. But then I found, I found my niche with computers and got my degree in business computer systems. So I would say getting that college degree is a must for women in technology. Just more opportunities for everyone. And I would say that the best advice that I've been given over my life journey and work journey is to have a balance, to enjoy what you're doing. And if you start doing something in a profession and you don't like it, that doesn't mean you can't change. Go back to school, get another degree. So it's just that those opportunities that you need to take advantage, and don't be intimidated by what's out there. It's scary, especially for a young woman out of college, starting her first job. So it's just, taking those opportunities and enjoying and having a good time. Life's too short.
Thank you very much.
Okay, if you can go to the next slide, Kirsten. So here we have question 3, and this question, we're going to switch it up, is for Paige and Pamela. So Paige, we'll start with you. What has been the biggest barrier you have faced, and how did you overcome it?
Let's see. So I think this leads back to what Pam was discussing about looking for your mentor, but being careful about your mentor. I definitely had mentors that were incredibly supportive and fostered my career. And then I had individuals that didn't have my best interest. So I think you just have to fiercely protect your career. You have to look for the person who is going to guide you and protect you. And I had written up some stuff about advice. I think finding an organization that aligns with your values, your professional values, your personal life values, and then find that mentor in that organization, because sometimes I found in some organizations there is dysfunction or competitiveness that is really hard for women to survive and thrive. And so for me, when I finally found the organization that matched my values and then matched up with a mentor who then worked towards helping me to achieve my professional goals, everything started to align better than when I was just finding a mentor, any mentor. So that's how I would deal. The challenge for me was throughout my career, just not having a mentor who had my best interests at heart or really aligned with my professional goals.
Yeah, that's some really good advice. Same question for you, Pam. What has been the biggest barrier you have faced, and how did you overcome it? And you're on mute.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I was like, oh no, I lost audio. I would say, and I agree with everything Paige said. I would say that, just being a woman is an obstacle for us, and especially being, for me, a Hispanic woman in the technology field. So I would say that, and I agree with Paige. I've had really good mentors in my career and really bad mentors. And and a lot of them, the bad ones, have been women. So, I feel like women sometimes don't want you to grow because they are intimidated or they're insecure about their own, jobs. And I feel they kind of bring, keep women from advancing. So I really am happy to see this forum and women supporting women. That is critical. And as we grow, it's helping each other out and helping us get to those make those career ladders that we're interested in. The other thing is sometimes I feel I'm my biggest critic, so I'm my biggest obstacle as a woman. I mean, as in my career, as I advanced, and I did advance pretty quickly. I've had 2 jobs in my whole career. One was at TRW in California when I first graduated. I worked there for 8 years, came back to New Mexico, and I've been at NMSU ever since. So I advanced from a programmer analyst to a manager to an assistant director, and then I led a project management office, and now I'm the IT director for enterprise applications. So for me, that was a good experience. But it wasn't smooth. It was a little rocky at times, but I persevered, I worked hard, and I proved my worth. So I think when you find that match and you find leaders that find your strengths and and take advantage of your strengths, that's a good thing. But yeah, so it's just 2 points: women supporting other women in their careers, and us as women not being afraid to take that risk. And you know what? Ask the questions, put yourself out there, share your ideas. I know along my career, I would sit in meetings. I was new to a company or a group, and I was afraid to speak up. But then I got more comfortable, and I shared my ideas. And guess what? Some of those ideas are taken and executed. So don't be afraid, and we need to support each other.
So Pam, I found it interesting that you mentioned that,
Go ahead.
because for my EMBA, our group, we actually did some research, and they found that women who were not supporting other women, that there's this misperception that there's only so many positions available for women at a certain level and in a certain career field, so people start to compete. And that's very frustrating, because the more we can just help each other, the better. I mean, the more
Exactly.
it enriches you too to help lift another woman. We
Yep.
do have a question in the chat.
Great.
Melanie, how did you go about seeking a mentor, and what made someone a bad mentor?
I can take that one. I would say, don't necessarily, I want women to support women, and I think all of us should pay it forward and do 2 things. Observe when you see a woman not being protected by another woman. You have to raise them up, and you have to be there as a network, even if you're not their mentor. So you should absolutely, no matter if you're just starting out as an analyst 3 and you're early in your career, you will still be mentoring students at the university or others throughout. So there's never a time that you're not in a position to mentor another woman and to protect them. The bad mentors are, I think Pam mentioned it too, and I couldn't agree with you more. I've had women mentors who were the worst. They were not there to protect you. And you have to be brave enough to say, this isn't working. And you don't necessarily have to have a female mentor. Sometimes your mentor is this individual, and they aren't maybe in your career, but their values match up with you. They see your potential, and they're helping you to move forward. So figure out at a time, at the start of the year, you write your own personal strategic plan, you set your goals, and every day you focus on those goals, and you make sure that the people you're working with, they can serve as a mentor in various capacities of your goals. The other advice I would say is every morning start with your professional goal. It's certainly, if you're trying to get a certificate in something that has nothing to do with your job, don't do that in your working hours. But every morning start out with your goals and then get to your business work. But put yourself first. It's really, really important.
I just need to echo that. I have to tell you, aside from where I'm at right now, I have not had one positive female mentor in my career. And so it is incredibly important to me in the position that I'm in right now to say exactly what Paige says. Be observant on what's going on, stand up for other women in technology, defend them where they can, take them aside, support them, offer whatever advice that you can, because it is very difficult right to the top. It was for me. I'm the first female CIO in our company, and so I'm very proud of that. And I look and work hard to create a positive work environment for everybody, but I want to make sure that we're taking care of the women that we have in our staff and look at ways to help mentor and help provide opportunities for them to move forward. So we need to look out for each other.
This is Leslie. I don't have anything to add to the mentor program issue that we were talking about topic, but I second all of that. I do want to add to the question about the biggest barrier. For me, a lot of the places that I worked, I was the only person who did my job. I was the only person who developed something or built something. And as much as you can document things, that's great. But you don't have anybody to brainstorm with. You don't have a team where you've got people that you can go to, hey, I've got this idea, or I'm stuck on this thing. How can I overcome that? So being a lone developer or DBA or whatever it is within your organization, being the only person doing that is really, really challenging. And you have to be able to learn how to go out to Google, find those solutions, be a great, researcher and be able to learn things on your own, be a self-starter, figure things out, be able to identify, oh, I'm lacking this skill in order to do this task that I've been assigned, because again, you're the only one, and having to go out and learn those things, and having a community of people as mentors and support on Twitter, Stack Overflow, way back in the day, Tech Tips. Having those resources and knowing where to go to find answers is probably the best thing that you can do, is know where to go to ask somebody else.
And then Desiree and Kirsten, I want to share in the chat that Mary mentioned that great mentors are so valuable, and it's so important for women to support women. And so I just wanted to share what she had put in the chat there. And Leslie, thank you. Exactly what you're saying there. I mean, ensuring you have the right resources available to you and being persistent in your research. Absolutely.
Okay, next question. Okay, and this will be for Dawn and Leslie. Describe your work-life balance. How do you manage it and achieve it? And how about pre and post pandemic?
So I have always been a firm believer in, especially with a salaried position, you pay me to work for 40 hours and I will work 40 hours. That is not to say that I am not a team player and I won't pitch in when we're trying to get that big project over the finish line and we have to work like all weekend long, or there's a late night deployment. You got to get up and work in the middle of the night. Team player, I will do it. I will be on call. But I'm going to work about 40 hours every week because that's what you pay me for. And so I've always been just a real proponent of, I work so that I can have a great life. I travel, I do lots of fun things. Pre-pandemic, I worked for 3Cloud as a remote position. So I was already working from home before this started. I have a dedicated space in my house where I work from. Every day at 4 o'clock, I close the office door and I leave work, and I make sure that I don't come back in here to work just because I can. So I'm really dedicated to making sure that I don't give my time away, because that's my time to do the fun things I like to do, travel, spend time with my kids, take pictures, whatever. So I am a firm believer, and stick up for yourself. Don't be that sucker that says, oh, I'll do that every time. You don't have to say yes all the time.
All right, I need to take lessons from Leslie. I am not as good at the work-life balance. I am a strong advocate for that for my staff. It is something that I continue to work on. We just had this conversation yesterday. I had an employee wanting to get ready to go on vacation, and it's like, I've got all this stuff to do. I need to bring my stuff. And I'm like, no, what we've learned pre and post pandemic is it's going to be here tomorrow. And so if we don't separate ourselves from this, then it makes it very difficult to recharge and be able to give your all. And to be quite honest with you, the pandemic on the health system side was incredibly difficult. And we had to work ridiculous hours. We did, heroic things, even for IT, rolling out equipment where we had to. And quite honestly, I lost my dad to COVID. And so it was just really, really hard. And so to Leslie's point, this has really been a very eye-opening experience where you say, you know what, life is short. And I got here, I work hard, I give you 100% when I'm here, but now it's time, it's 5 o'clock, I need to go home, I need to have dinner with my husband, I want to talk to my adult children who still gratefully call me every single day at 28 and 25, and I feel so incredibly blessed. And again, reflecting on, you know, my mentor and losing my father and knowing how difficult all of that was, I can't express to you how important finding that in your balance is so important. This job shouldn't rule you. You should work to enjoy life. And so that is what I share with you.
My adult children talk to me every day too. It is a blessing. And we're sorry for your loss, Dawn. Thanks for sharing. But yes, I'm sure it was very difficult.
Dawn,
It is very difficult, but I think it's important for all of us to be okay with that, right? And be able to share that information with people. And, you know, I shared it with my staff, and I'm happy to show my emotions, and they're real. And this is part of value I think we as women bring to the workplace, right? It's okay to be upset. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel, right?
And Dawn, there's some beautiful sentiments too from Karina and Gray about their condolences, and we're so sorry, Dawn.
Thank you.
Yes. Paige or Pam, do you want to talk about your work-life balance?
Sure. I think what I've done is proudly put on my calendar that I'm going to a doctor's or a lunch. Your time is your time. I don't ever cap myself to 40 hours. I try to do productive work that I'm proud of, and it ebbs and flows. Some weeks it's 90, some weeks it's 20, but I always do productive work. So I don't cap myself, but I don't apologize for taking vacation, for taking my daughter to a doctor's appointment, taking then my son, then myself, and it might all be in 1 week, and that's okay. And so I won't apologize for the time I need to take for my family, but when it comes time for work, like Leslie said, I'm a team player and I will do grueling things to get the project done right. I just think we need to not be afraid to say that I don't even ask for permission. I take my time.
Okay. Wow. A lot of good discussion there. And I wish I could be more like Leslie. And I've learned to be. I wasn't initially, when I first started out, it's you feel like, especially being a woman, that you have to prove yourself, that you have to, do more than the male, your coworker, because they're not going to think that your work is as good or whatever. But in my career and over the years, and because of the pandemic, you got to set your priorities. You got to have that balance between your work life and your personal life, and that is not always the easiest thing to do. I know when we were implementing Banner ERP in 2005, I didn't see my husband. My kids were young. I think my husband was going to change the locks on the door because he didn't. He said, "You're a stranger to me. I don't know you anymore. Who are you?" And that really was an eye opener for me. But I think it's working hard when you have to, and then playing hard when you're not working, and keep that separation, and know when to stop. Working at home during the pandemic, I mean, sometimes I was on the computer. Sometimes I'd work through lunch, or I'd be on still 6:30. My husband's like, "When are you going to stop working?" Okay, so I had to set some boundaries, and it's hard to do, but life's too short. And the pandemic, and Dawn, I'm my condolences. My husband's grandmother also passed of COVID. It was tough, and we got to support each other, and we got to figure out what our priorities are in life. And the work's always going to be there, but when you have to work, spend the time, do a good job, and walk away and know that you've done all that you can. So those are my 2
I
cents.
just want to add, I think some good parts to that is working as a leader. I work with my leadership team and I set those expectations also. And I say, you know what, we are out the door. If there's an emergency, absolutely. We are a hospital. We're running 24/7, 365 days. But I expect you to go home, spend time with your family, do what you need to do. I'm not reading email. I don't want you reading email. If there is an emergency, you call me, but I don't want to set the expectation that people are worried they're missing something by constantly looking at their email. And I think that's a lot of lessons learned and good work habits that we should all institute in ourselves. And yes, my condolences to you as well.
Thank you.
So Kirsten, Desiree, I want to thank Melanie in the chat. She was pretty open. She lost her father as well. So condolences to you, Melanie. Thank you for sharing with this group. Losses are, it's hard. I lost my grandmother during this pandemic, not to COVID, but for other reasons. I take care of an ailing father. One thing I would like to share with this group, 7 years ago, I was in a meeting and I had a brain hemorrhage. I had an aneurysm rupture and a stroke. I was in the neuro ICU for 3 weeks and I came out of it blind at first. And the funny thing is I was so worried about work, when I came back to work 4 months later, still partially blind and doing other things. And that company was so fantastic. They actually promoted me when I was in the neuro ICU to manager of quality validations for the pharmaceutical company I was working for. They were so supportive. And I know other folks don't always have that opportunity, but it was funny to me that I look back and I go, gosh, I was so worried because I'm continuing trying to drive and strive. And as a woman, I always think that I've already lost ground. And that would be the first thing on my mind when I wake up from something that could be fatal. And then shortly after had my son. And that really, I think, has made me think about my work-life balance. But much like some of the other ladies on this panel, I still need to work on it. I don't expect my team to do it. They actually tell me, well, you do it, but I keep telling them to not do it. And I think we have to be better role models to show them that we're not going to do it as well. But it is
I think too, it's a little easier for me because I'm not in a high level executive role. I'm a consultant. I bill my hours. I'm assigned to projects. I do whatever it is I need to do. And, I'm doing billable hours. And so I think there's a difference there in the type of work that you're doing to which level of involvement, right? I'm not getting paid any extra if I donate the hours to the client. And my company doesn't want me to donate the hours to the client. They want to bill the client. They're in it to make money. So there's, that balance as well as, I have to make sure that I'm doing the right thing for my company.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, the things that matter are your family, right? And your memories and your experience of life, because it could be over like that. And, that's one of the things that I had to learn the hard way.
Most importantly, your health. I mean, if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. It's tough. It's tough.
So Antoinette,
so I'm glad you came out of that, Alesia.
Thank you. I know you saw me after I had the tough.
I did. I did.
I was having heart issues. Yeah.
I remember.
So Antoinette, she says, it seems like a double standard. You're asked when you will be done with work. I don't think men are asked the same question. It is assumed they work as long as needed. No questions asked. So it's interesting.
I think that men have a little bit different view of it because they're in most cases not the primary homemaker or childcare after work, or there's extra duties that we as women have taken on for the most part within our households. Whereas, most men are like, oh, I can work late because my wife's going to cook dinner or she's going to take care of the kids. So I don't think that they have that same pull on their time that we do.
I totally agree. I think it's actually fact. I don't think it should be confusing. It is just the reality. I mean, my kids have their mom. That's a reality. And I think when we try to assume that that's not the reality and we get disgruntled by it, you're going to always be unhappy. So you have to just figure out, what is the job that I can do at this age of my kids that still promotes my career, allows me to be the mom? I mean, you do have to make some choices. And although people don't want to make choices, they want to do it all. If you're doing it all, you're doing it all wrong. So you just need to prioritize. And sometimes, like in my career, I left Sandia when my kids were 2 and 4 because I was having to travel a lot more than I could for my kids. I left a pension. I left a really great career path. And I took a step back, and then I had to work harder to get there. And that sucked, but that's life. I mean, sorry to say it. I don't want people to think that that's not a reality. It just is. So you have to think about what you're doing, how you're doing it, how you're going to get, what is your next move? And that's why I did certifications in the evenings, things that would help me promote to the next level the next time I applied. I'd look at job descriptions and figure out, okay, what's the job I want? What am I lacking to get there? What can I do in the evening? And my kids are at an age that I can get there. So.
Great, thank you. So I think we have a little bit of time, maybe not a lot, 5 minutes. Any other questions from those that are participating today for our panelists? Raise your hand or type it in the chat.
Well, and Kirsten too, if anybody doesn't have questions, if you'd like to share some of your experience, I mean, we probably got a plethora of fantastic people on this call that can share with us the different experiences they've had. So feel free to unmute and let us know. If you don't have questions, let us know about your experience.
So I just posted in the chat a link to a book that I really like called Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. So just like Paige says, you can't do everything. If you are, you're going to do it poorly. And this book is really about focusing your energy on the one thing that's going to get you to where you want to go. And one of the things that comes out of it is busy is a 4-letter word. You know, you have to have a plan. You have to have focus. You can't do a gazillion things because then you're only going to do all of those a little bit instead of one thing great. So I posted that in the chat. It's a great book. Check it out.
Thank you.
I can't echo that enough just because I did the same thing. I had my kids very young and I opted out. I stayed in technology, but I opted out of management until my children were in high school because I knew that I couldn't do it all and I couldn't do it all very well. And so quite honestly, for me, the personal choice was to stay in technology, which I loved, and be a mom first. And then I would take a look at my career later.
And I want to take the second and share that here in Albuquerque, we have a lot of user groups. I'm particularly involved with the SQL Server user group. We have monthly meetings right now on Meetup. We're going to be having our annual big data Saturday in February of next year at CNM. We'll have speakers from all over the country coming in to talk about all things data. Some are professional development, some are like on that busy as a 4-letter word. One of the speakers has talked on that topic. It's a great community. I wouldn't be where I am today without having gone to a SQL Saturday, going to a past summit, meeting all of the people that are out on Twitter. I wouldn't have my dream job without that networking and those connections. And so it's really important to get out there and meet people and connect with them and do those soft skills and be able to help you grow your career and get to a better place.
And ladies, we do have one more question in the chat. Since Antoinette mentioned double standards, have you ever had to address when a male is not believing your IT knowledge, so they ask another male?
Oh, how many times? My favorite was when I was on a call with a vendor working at the police department, and I had built this entire data warehouse that does all of this ETLs and bring in all of these systems. And I was talking to this vendor about it, and he was like, "Huh, who did that?" I said, well, I did. You did? Wow. Okay, thanks, dude. Yes, it is. You just got to let it go. Be a duck. Let it slide off your back. And it's hard.
Any of the other panelists?
I just think you have to make sure you're informed. There, and early in my career, it was really angry and I had a hard time with it. And so I would be stern in how I dealt with that. I don't think that's the right path. So I'd recognize, I totally the duck. You got to just be calm. You got to make sure you're informed. You cannot take it personally. You just need to know that. I think Dawn mentioned she took it aside. I took aside. That's the coolest thing about IT is it is the one field where all of us get to be women and moms, take steps back, take steps forward. It's an industry that allows us to be fluid with our quality of life and learn things on the side so that the next time we jump back in, we're fully informed and ready to roll. So just know that it's always changing. And as long as you want to be a part of it, you can be.
And I'm going to echo that. I think that, yeah, you can't take these little, specific situations and get defensive, because then, yes, then they'll criticize you as a woman for doing that. But over time, I think earning that respect and your skill and your knowledge will be recognized over time, and then you'll start to see that others will respect your input and your feedback. So I think it's just kind of bite your tongue. Sometimes you have to do that, and then take those opportunities when you can demonstrate your skill and your worth.
And there are good mentors out there. I mean, the previous CIO that we had, he finally came to me. He's like, okay, your son's in high school. Are you ready to start management now? We really need you in here. And it really was a great feeling. And it was a great feeling of respecting the choice I had made for myself and still respecting the value I was bringing to the company technically and the work that I was doing, and understanding that these were choices and that they were willing to let me make those choices, and then were still interested in promoting me. It really.
So that's fantastic. So I am so excited. Everything was so great, and all the input that you ladies gave us. If I could go to just the next slide really quick, Kirsten, and then we'll come back to this. There's several questions in there about the sketch and things like that. But first, before we get to closer to the end, I want you guys to know how to join Women in Technology here, the chapter for UNM. We have different types of membership. We have voting members, UNM faculty and staff, and we have affiliate non-voting members where you can participate and join in that dialogue and help support what we have going on. So if you are interested in joining this team, please submit the following information. You can see right here to wit@unm.edu. Take a screenshot if you want right now, a snapshot of the screen. We will have the recording of this up. And Elaine, who's organizing the fantastic, speaking of women in technology, who's put together our technology tech days. She will have these available for folks that joined the different sessions. And so you can also subscribe to our listserv, and you can go to our website, wit.unm.edu. With that said, if we go back to the slide previously, Karina, do you want to, I don't know if you have a couple minutes to kind of show us what you captured?
Yeah, thanks so much. And I see I've been spotlighted. So really briefly, just thank you so much for all of the fabulous wisdom and the time and the great questions. It's such a treat as a female entrepreneur to get to listen in and learn with everyone else. These will be shared, the drawings will be shared by the Tech Days hosts. So they'll be sending them out afterwards and posting them. I would just like to say that something that I love about this conversation is that the culture is shifting, right? There's more and more women out there and supporting each other. And so being calm, being supportive of each other, even if the system feels like it's imbalanced or it's a harder climb, just, looking to your community for support Women are community creatures a lot of the time. And if you're not, that's okay too. But I heard multiple times, you know, being the only person doing what I do, having somebody else to bounce ideas off with, having, whether or not they're in tech or a woman, having a mentor that supports you and shares your values and that you can just communicate and jive with to learn and experiment in a safe way. We heard that paths are not always a straight line. They can be circuitous, and continuing to hold your vision, even if that changes, and revisit that regularly is really powerful to drive your career. Following what feels right. If you're passionate about technology, even if you're not exactly sure how that might end up happening, just continuing to develop your skills or follow again what feels right. I love this. Biggest barriers you've overcome. I'm my own biggest critic, and that can be such a huge thing. So having that community, having a mentor to help you with a different perspective. And a few great advice quotes. Nothing is ever out of reach for you. Start early, find a good role model, and don't be intimidated. And if you're doing it all, you're doing it wrong. Busy is a 4-letter word. So, and then the work-life balance, especially in times of COVID, where many of us are still working from home or trying to figure out what this means. It's okay to work hard. It's okay to take time off, and it's okay to feel, and using that as a strength rather than seen as a weakness. So, oh, and you don't always have to say yes. That's something I'm personally working on. So thanks for that. Words of wisdom. It was just such a pleasure to get to listen and learn with you all.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you so much. So I just want to thank our panelists. I want to thank the engaged attendees. You guys are so fantastic. There was one question that we still had not answered. I think we could do it rather quickly. We have 2 minutes, but from April, she said, if applying for a degree program does not work due to timing, do any of you have recommendations for technology-centered certifications to pursue?
I think it depends on your track. Be careful. Like if you want to go project management, go PMP, PMP. If you want to go ITEL, if you want to go management track, start looking at other online programs to look into management so that you're striving for the goal you want. But Leslie posted Azure. I think any technology has their own specific certification. If you're interested in a tech and that's the job you want next, go for that. But I don't know that there's any one. It just depends on what your professional goal is.
And I think the great thing about the Azure Microsoft stack is that it's all things that we're already familiar with, right? SQL Server, but it's in the cloud. Network, routing, security, but it's in the cloud, right? So it's all the stuff that happens on-prem already, just in the cloud. And so there's all of those things have to happen. But if you've got the certification, maybe you've got the leg up for getting in the door.
And let me put my plug in. A lot of technology that's overlooked is in the clinical application space. And so we are always looking for people in those spaces. So if that's ever anything you're considered or interested in, reach out and let me.
And my 2 cents is don't feel you have to do it like it all at one time. So if there's some time constraints, your family, your kids are young, take a course. I know NMSU offers employees tuition waivers for, I think up to 6 credits. So, do it in off times, at night or whenever, but don't feel you have to get your degree in 2 years or 4 years. We're no longer traditional students we're used to. You can go back to school anytime. Those are things, and getting a degree is something that no one can take away from you. You earned it. So I encourage you, if you're having those time constraints, figure something out. Find a support structure that can help you through.
Well, thank you. So thank you, everybody. Desiree, Kirsten, thank you. Thank you, panelists. You're fantastic. I appreciate everybody attending. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, I'm going to hang on for just a little bit. And then please go check out our website, wit.unm.edu. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks for the
opportunity.
invitation.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alicia. And everybody, this was great.
Thank you.
It was.
Kirsten, Desiree, thank you. It's fantastic.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you. Yeah,
You
this
did a
is
great job.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you,
for
Dawn and
joining.
Leslie.
Yes, you're
Bye.
welcome. Thanks for inviting me. Talk to you soon, Leash.
Yeah, thanks, Leslie.
Good to see you, Leslie. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Kirsten. How are
Hi.
you?
Good, thank you.
Good. What a fantastic event. Great panel. So we'd love to, so I'm with the New Mexico Technology Council. You probably figured that out. I know. I've talked with Deirdre and would love to, visit with you and talk more how we can, definitely collaborate with our Women in Technology peer group that we have as well. And, be able to share all of the information and opportunities back and forth and that kind of thing. So, because today was just such a fabulous, really, really good panel. And so love to have a call with you. Maybe when you have some time, we could just do a follow-up get together meeting.
Sure, absolutely. So we are on the board, right? The New Mexico Tech Council board, and I know I've attended some of the WIT chapter events in the past. Is Sherry still kind of heading that up or leading it, or?
No, it's not. Renee Moya is the committee chair.
Yeah, I know Renee very well. I've known her for many years.
Oh, good. Good. That's what I was going to say. We should have a chat with her too.
Yeah, let's do it. Do we have, I'm trying to think about getting your information, or how do you want to get our information?
Exactly. You want to just put it in the chat real quick?
Yeah, I can pop it right here. Do you want to put Kirsten, yours, Desiree? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that now.
Copy and paste them real quick.
And the funny thing is that my I don't have a problem putting in my phone number there, because my phone number is published on the UNM website somewhere, and people find me. All the other directors were really smart about putting their office number, and somehow my cell number got there. So when they can't find anybody, they call me. It's funny.
Oh no. I know it did come in handy for me a couple of years ago, at least email addresses.
Yeah.
After I broke my ankle and had the most fantastic orthopedic surgeon from UNMH. But getting through that, the phone system was like such a nightmare. And sometimes I just couldn't even get through. And so I was really happy I could look his email address up and I found it. And I was like, no, Richard Miller, Dr. Miller, he was amazing. But I was like, my cast is too tight and I've been on hold for an hour. So
I know.
It's funny. So anyways, well, I don't want to keep you, but it was wonderful visiting with you and congratulations. We also, if it's okay, I'll share with your, we have Trilce. I should have it memorized by now, but we've got our big event tomorrow, so I'm kind of brain dead. But on Tuesday, we have a big data peer group meeting and event happening. And we have, let me see. So Trilce Estrada, the professor of computer science at UNM. And she's going to be talking about machine learning. So if I could, should I just email that to your UNM?
Or we could put it on our website.
Okay, perfect.
So
Perfect.
That's Zero. I look forward to hearing from you.
Yes.
We can kind of meet and see what we could do. That's the point of this, which is exciting.
Exactly. Yeah, we've been, so of course, and, UNMIT is a member of the Tech Council and Dwayne is on our board, which I should let you go if you want to get to his session. And I know Kirsten and I have interacted before, at least via email. But that's always kind of our challenge too, is we want to have everyone with the organization be able to participate in our different events. Because, Dwayne's not going to be able to attend all of our sessions and or then sometimes getting the word out to the teams. I know Deirdre had me add the WIT at UNM email to our distribution list. So at least hopefully you've been seeing some of our emails. So.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. Well, have a great day.
Thank you, you
Fantastic
too.
session.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.